right, guys, what's up? We are back, and we have a very special guest today on Let's Talk Snowboarding, presented by Mountain Vibes, and it's a good friend of mine, actually, growing up in Southern Oregon together, up through grade school, all the way through high school and stuff like that. We have Ian Barker-Cortrecht joining us. Ian, how we doing, bud?
Doing great.
Awesome. That's good to hear. That's good to hear, man. So yeah, let's just like dive right into it. How's Ben today? Like, how's the weather, and what were you up to?
Uh, Good weather. Been outside doing yard work. Yeah, good spring snowboarding going on right now. Yeah, not bad.
When was the last time you were up at Bachelor?
I think I was up Monday and Tuesday.
Was it good conditions? Nice park days?
Yep.
Heck yeah, man.
Went up there, worked in the morning, and then went up there in the afternoon and got like solid hour park lap session each day. Didn't get broke off.
Good. Good.
Yeah.
Were you on the steel, or were you on the jumps more?
Both. Did
Nice.
pretty well. I slid a Z-rail. That felt pretty good. I haven't done that for a while.
Nice.
Landed a few fives, which haven't landed those for a while. So that felt good. Yeah.
Heck yeah, man. Well, awesome, dude. That's great to hear. Dude, let's take it back. Let's talk about, so we're both from, Cave Junction, Oregon. Let's just talk about like, kind of growing up, and what was like your first day of snowboarding, and how did you really get introduced into riding?
Yeah. I still remember my first day. I went up with Spencer Kendall and maybe his younger brother Ben, and took lessons that day. Actually lost my rental board down by the lodge there off the cat track. And luckily it was recovered, but I think I got like 2 runs on the bunny hill that day, and second run I straight lined it.
Just went full send on it, huh?
Yeah, I just wanted to go fast, and I was tired of the falling leaf.
Yeah. Was this up at Mount Ashland?
Yep.
Yep. Up on good old Sonnet,
Yeah.
where the winds are fierce and the ice pellets can kick your ass on most days.
Beautiful sunny day, I think, and yeah, still remember it.
Yeah, for sure, dude. Do you remember the name of your instructor?
I don't.
Okay. No worries. I actually had my boss at Timberline. His name is Steve Muse. He's the director of like the ski school and stuff. Awesome guy, great guy. But he was down at Ashland when we were growing up, and so he remembers me like being up there and stuff when we had our interview up at the ski school at Timberline. Gosh, like I don't know, 8-9 years ago is when I think I interviewed with him.
That's a good
And
memory.
yeah, and he was a bachelor too and all that good stuff. So it's always so cool, when, you become part of the sport and the community and stuff, all these connections you make and people that you may have not known before. And, you get to know them more. And then all of a sudden you're like, oh yeah, I know that guy from there, and all that stuff, mutual friends. It's pretty awesome. Yeah, dude. So, growing out in CJ, not a lot of people know about our tiny little town in Southwest Oregon. Talk about like your experience, like after your first day and stuff like that. When was it that you started to get like more into it and like going on a more regular basis?
I think maybe like up until middle school, I only went a few times a year, and then middle school, I think I tried to start riding a little bit more, but the mountain's like 2 hours 45 minutes away, so it was a pretty long drive. And I think maybe middle school I started getting season passes and trying to go up as much as I could. And And then high school, when I could drive, was when I really like, made it happen, and probably rode, I don't know, 30 or more days a year at that point.
Yeah.
I remember like
Awesome.
my senior year of high school, we had like 10 snow days, and I remember just going up there every single one of those and getting epic powder.
Yeah. Yeah. And same here. My mom, good old Mary Halverson, she was the one who took me up to Ashland and got me into it and stuff. And I don't know. Do you remember Mike Heald, right?
Yep.
So yeah, Mike, I mean, it was pretty much Mike and I for the longest time. We go up to Ashland a lot, go to Shasta, go to Bachelor whenever we could and stuff on trips and stuff. And we started skiing actually because I sucked my first day, dude. Like I remember my first day, it was like ice pellets to my face, and I was just like, such a fat little kid that I got to the top of Sonnet at Mount Ashland and I couldn't even like bend over enough to get the ratchets down. So I was like, I can't do this. And so I went to my mom and she's like, try skiing. And so I skied for a couple years and then I went right back after that.
Yeah.
Um, and I just, I wasn't any good or anything like that. Not like any kind of the stuff that you do. That's gnarly, dude. Like spinning a five is not even in my like thought process right now. I'm trying to get threes next season. So that would be kind of cool.
Side
But
hits. You gotta
yep, start
work on
small
those
with it.
side hits. Yeah.
Yeah. I can pop ones right now in all directions, but the three is the next step. But yeah, dude. So let's talk about like high school time, dude. Like you and I, we like kind of knew each other back then, pretty well and stuff. But I remember I was actually just talking with my wife not too long ago, earlier, talking about like the painted parking spaces that we used to get and stuff.
Yeah.
Um, And I think you were were you a year behind me in high school?
Yep.
Yeah. Yeah. I remember that time. Like, can you like talk about like, the homies back then and, you still have some of those friendships to this day with like Rhino and, all those awesome people. Like, do you still get to see a lot of them?
Definitely. Like, yeah, still have a pretty solid crew of friends from Cave Junction. Um, I think it's probably a good place to develop lifelong friendships just because it's a small knit community and everybody gets to know each other pretty well. Um, yeah, Trevor,
Still.
all of them.
Yep.
Yeah.
Nah. Yeah. And I honestly, I went to SOU after high school. And did you go to U of O straight away? Is that
I
was
started at OSU. I went there for 2 years and then
okay.
U of O.
Okay. And what I forget, what was your degree in? What did you end up getting?
Product design.
That's right.
Yeah.
And how's that going right now? I know that you travel quite a bit for work and do you also work from home?
Yeah. So my real job, like what I make money at, is 3D laser scanning, BIM. Like we build computer models of factories, warehouses, industrial sites, and that's where I make the money. And then, kind of as side projects, snowboard building and surfboard shaping.
Yeah. And you're working for Snow Planks right now, based out of Bend.
Yep. Snow planks, and then I do ding repair and a little bit of shaping, kind of dinking around at Cubicle, the local Riverwave surf shop.
That's right. Yeah. Well, that's so cool, man. I remember, you know, uh, us like kind of relinking up as far as like hanging out together and stuff like that back when we were both in Portland, kind of going up to Timberline, quite a bit. After what year was it that you actually moved up to Portland after college?
Um, so right after college, I moved to Vashon Island, right outside of Seattle,
Okay.
and I worked at a snowboard core factory there for like 1 year, and then moved to Portland and lived there for about 8 years.
Nice.
Yeah.
And were you going up to Hood often, like
Yeah.
on weekend
Yeah.
warrior type status, or?
Even when I lived in Washington, like I had a girlfriend in Portland, and so I would go down to Portland on weekends, and pretty much every weekend that I went down there, rode at Timberline or Meadows,
Yeah,
Ski Bowl.
yeah, that's and yeah, yeah. I mean, yeah, in any one of them, it just does. It kind of it differs, like on based on conditions. Ski bowl at night on powder days, all time, always under the lights. It's so much fun. And then you got Timberline as far as like I do enjoy Timberline a lot. Like, a lot of people call it flatline,
Yeah.
during the winter, just because can get stuck. But if you pick your right line, you can get some amazing runs up
Yeah,
at Timberline on a
there's fun
powder day.
little cliffy sections there.
Mm-hmm.
There's
Off of
stuff on
Molly's.
there. And I
Yeah.
mean, the park is always like dialed in at Timberline. Like no matter what time you ride it, it's usually super fun. Flowy long park laps.
Yeah. I remember, on powder days, usually I would go straight over to the Bone Zone. And the Bone Zone really, I mean, it can run you all the way down to the bottom of Jeff Flood. Like it pops you right out. That run that I'm probably talking about,
Yeah,
above the water and stuff. And it's just like stuff like that is just so cool because you're in this like dense old forest, and it's kind of it's way different than being up here in Idaho. It's a lot more kind of open and more, I don't know, arid, almost kind of like, I don't know, reminds me a lot of Southern Oregon up here,
yeah,
honestly, as far as like the weather and stuff like that. But back when we were growing up in
yep,
Cave Junction, when we got a lot more snow than they probably do now, not as much snow down there going on. So, but yeah, dude, Timberline, yeah, that was so cool. When I remember when we got to go, ride Timberline. Actually, I feel like we went quite a few times
yeah.
when we were up there. That was so sick because I really, I kind of knew that you had snowboarded, but I don't feel like I really ever got to ride with you. I was kind of like the Grants Pass ski bus. Take that up. Did you ever ride the ski bus up to Ashland from Grants Pass?
I didn't. Once I like, I don't know, I'd go up there with my dad. I'd go up there with Spencer's family. Um,
Yep.
Kind of just get rides from whoever I could.
Yeah.
And then, yeah, once I could drive, I just like would kind of lock
Just
in, make that drive, and get there by any means necessary.
yeah. Just say fuck it.
Yeah,
Yeah. Yeah, dude. Yeah. By the way, speaking of Spencer, like, shout out Kendall Glassworks. Some
yeah,
of the best like blown glass art. They got all kinds of stuff. I remember my mom always used to love to grab like a bird feeder each season.
yeah.
Hummingbird feeder was like the thing she would get. So yeah, that's awesome, dude. Yeah. So you're up in Portland. And riding Timberline, and Hood's epic and stuff. I have a question for you. Have you ever made it up to the solstice party at Illumination?
I haven't. I see it every year, and I kind of wish I was there. And for whatever reason, I haven't made it up there.
I know, kind of. Yeah, it's insane. I feel like it's a lot. You know, I feel like back when like we were at Hood, and before then, it was like kind of more of like a small gathering almost, and now it's just like, whoa. I
Yeah,
see like the videos coming out of there. I'm like, man, that is so many people up there. It's insane, but
yeah. It looks like a
super
good
cool
time.
though. Super cool. Um, what what was the driving force in your decision? You live in Bend now. What was the driving force in your decision to move down to Bend?
I kind of always wanted to live here. Like, when I took trips here when I was younger, um, I just always liked the mountain, um, the town, like the weather, pretty much everything. And I just never like coming out of college. I was like looking for jobs, and without a remote job, Bend wasn't necessarily the place that made sense. And so um, it just took me a while to finally figured out how to make it work here.
Nice,
Yeah,
nice. And what year? How long have you been in Bend for now?
about 3 years.
Okay, nice. That's
Yeah,
awesome. Um, and like, is it? I mean, everyone knows it's super sick down there, and it's like so much fun and so much talent coming out of Bend, lately. And you're kind of involved in that scene. Kind of a lot of the locals. Pete Alpor, a great photographer down there, puts on a
yeah,
lot of different events. And um, kind of talk about like some of the relationships you've made. I know that you were roommates at one time with Will Dentist, right?
yeah.
And I mean, like, he's kind of a famous pro rider down there, and he works for Snowplanks as well, doesn't he?
He does.
Awesome.
Yeah, so like I actually like met a lot of those dudes at Pete's first camp out that he had like 5 or 6 years ago.
Yeah.
Um, he kind of put out like an open invite end of the year kind of spring camp out, and I showed up for that and just had a good time. Met Will there, and kind of just kept in touch with Will over the years, and then he's kind of him and Snowplanks is what brought me to Bend. Um, I was like still living in Portland, had like a bad breakup and a um, high pressure corporate job that really kind of drove me into the ground. And I was kind of made the decision that it was time for a change. And he said they needed somebody to run the CNC machine at Snowplanks. And that's kind of what brought me here.
Nice.
Yeah.
Nice, because I mean, you have kind of some in-depth knowledge of what it takes. Like, you've pressed your own snowboards, Barker snowboards.
Yeah.
Um, you know, and what got you interested into, like, making snowboards? Was it the sport, or was it, the design? Because, you're in that kind of field. Was it kind of both those things that you had been interested in, that you made your own snowboard?
Yeah. Like, I think, I mean, I've always been kind of a hands on person. Like, my dad was a master woodworker and always, if I wanted something and he thought he could build it, he would build it. And I'd be part of that. And so going to school, I knew I wanted to be in some sort of uh, creative field or engineering, something along those lines. And that's what brought me into OSU. I went there for engineering and then transferred into the product design program. And then at the end of that program is when I kind of started researching how to make boards. And end of the end of my college career, I that's when I like built a snowboard and then went on to work at a core factory and kind of get some more hands-on knowledge.
Yeah, dude. Well, that's super awesome. Man, and I remember, like, you lent me one of your decks for a little bit, and I got to, take it up to Timberline, ride it, and it was like so playful and stuff. And I was like, dang, dude, like, the talent is there. And so to see you get to go down to Bend and get that opportunity with, a pretty sick company in Snowplanks, that's super awesome. And do you feel like, working for Snowplanks is kind of almost been like a gateway into, like, diving into the Bend community? Because we all know, like, Bend it's like, it's getting bigger and stuff, but it's still a very tight knit community. It's still a small town at heart and stuff. Like, what's some of the things you've seen recently, changing in Bend since your time, even in the short time that you've been there? Is it kind of getting gnarly up there? Because, I feel it up here where we live in North Idaho. It's getting, a lot of people are moving here, and you can feel it, like, each season it gets like more and more people. Like, the summer, you're like, okay, how busy is it going to be this summer now? And
Yeah.
it's like, it gets gnarly.
I mean, definitely a lot of people are moving here. I mean, I'm one of those people, but it's a great area, and just like it's understandable why people would want to live here. Um, really, the only consequence is like high housing prices and
Yeah.
a little bit of traffic here and there, but um, seems like they're starting to deal with that as far as like fixing the roads and um, doing some things to kind of counteract the heavy traffic that, I mean, compared to Portland, traffic isn't an issue, but
No.
there's a little bit popping up here and there.
Yeah. Yeah. I remember like, I mean, like just going around Portland is gnarly enough, but like on, on weekends and stuff, the traffic going up to Hood would just get like steadily each year, it would just get more and more. And now, seeing stuff coming out the Govy 500
Yeah,
and stuff, I'm like, oh my gosh, dude, it's like, I don't think I could deal with that. I mean, it's just crazy.
yeah, it's almost impossible to like have a good day on a Saturday or Sunday up at Hood, just because, um, especially peak season, like it's hectic. Like getting
Yeah.
parking, you have to leave the house probably at like 5 in the morning, and
Oh
just
yeah.
just to get a parking spot, and then lift lines probably are even worse.
Yeah. I remember, yeah, it was like such an early rise when I was working up there. Like I would be up at like 4:30 and leaving, Vancouver is where I was at the time. And I was like, and even back then it was still, if it snowed anywhere around a weekend, it was still just like, oh my gosh, dude,
Yeah,
just insane. But yeah, dude. So what's it kind of been like for you? You talked about Pete Alpor in the camp out. Um, and it's kind of, if anyone's looking to go, just like talk to Pete Alpor, just DM him. And that's what he told me when we had our episode of the podcast. He's like, people want to come, just DM me, because it's kind of like, it's like, if you want to go, then you kind of need to contact me and we'll see if you can go. But it's such a cool thing. And you got to go to the first one. And have you gone to each one after that? Have you
I have.
been like every
Yeah,
single year? Oh
yeah, it's
man,
something I look
so
forward to
jealous.
too. Um, it's kind of just fun to, it's end of the year. It's like June 1st, so it's just a good way to close the season. Um, most people aren't snowboarding at that time of the year, but it's just a all around fun event. Um, it's a good introduction to snow camping when the weather's still kind of nice, and yeah, every year like pros show up. It's a good place to meet people, and yeah, that's kind of what I noticed from the first time I went.
Yeah, yeah. And did you have a sled at the time?
I did.
Nice. What was it?
uh 2005 Summit X.
Nice. Is that Skidoo or Polaris?
We do.
All right. Are you your team Skidoo?
Yeah, for the most part. I know there's like a rivalry going on, but I think
Especially in your community right now.
I think the yeah, with the
Curtis.
the Curtis Cizik swap over to Polaris.
So funny that like blew the internet up. That was hilarious.
Yeah, it's pretty funny.
Yeah.
Um, yeah, I just like ski doos because they're seem to be reliable, easy to use. Some
Yeah.
people say performance wise they're lacking, but now they have the turbos, and um, those are, they'll go anywhere.
Yeah. Yeah. The Toyota of snowmobiles is the
Yeah,
comparison I've heard before.
yeah,
And so you had roommates for a while, but you recently just bought a house in Bend. How's that going? I saw all the videos of you, replacing all the flooring, and now it's just like looks so good. Was that flooring that you put in, was that like original hardwood flooring, like, or was it
yeah,
like that
yeah,
project seemed intense, dude?
yeah. I put in a wood floor with my dad when I was younger, and So I knew the process, and I bought, the cheapest house in Bend at the time. So obviously it needed a little bit of work, and everybody wanted me to put in like laminate floors or something easier. Um, but I was just trying to like add as much value as I could and uh, make it my own. And so I went all in kind of and went the solid wood route. And I don't know if I'd do it again, but I will say the floors look nice. And
Yeah.
yeah, it was ultimately rewarding in the end, but definitely a pretty big undertaking. Took a little bit longer than what I anticipated, and burned through a lot of money
Yeah.
along the way.
What kind of wood did you use?
Red oak.
Wow. Okay. Yeah. Well, that's spendy stuff. I mean, I
Yeah.
remember, yeah, I remember, us growing up, like down in Cave Junction and stuff, we had, you know, a pretty early introduction into, forestry and the logging community because of Rough and Ready. At the time, the largest lumber mill in the entire state of Oregon.
Yeah.
Um, and then we, steadily saw that kind of dwindle down through the years. And now I don't even, isn't there some kind of, what's there right now? Is there a business in there right now?
I
Have
believe
you,
it's still kind of going along. I'm not super I guess aware of what's going on with that. I think
yeah,
it's pretty small, whatever operation they have going on there.
yeah, yeah. I just remember, us, being in that. And then, as I kind of went through my career and after college, I didn't really find any good jobs in, my field of study in geology. So I turned to, trucking, and then I basically hauled lumber exclusively during my entire time. Um, so it's like, it was funny, like kind of relearning all the different types of wood and stuff like that. It's so cool and stuff. And so red oak, I'm like, oh man, that's a rare type of wood. It
As
definitely
far as
is.
oak goes, it is cheaper than white oak,
Yeah.
but yeah, just like the whole process of putting in a wood floor, sanding, finishing. Um, it was definitely a big undertaking, and maybe an eye opener to how much work it actually took when my dad did it. I didn't really have to deal with a lot of the steps
Yeah.
that he took care of.
Yeah. I hear that, man. Well, yeah, dude. So yeah, we were talking about, what you've been doing in Bend. And so you ride resort and you're a great park rider, and have your freestyle down to a T, but we mentioned, Team Skidoo, and you've been kind of diving into the backcountry a little bit more. What's it been like, the last couple seasons up there? Have you had some pretty awesome days, going out and sledding and getting some turns in?
Yeah, um, I'd say backcountry ends up being like 80% snowmobiling or touring or whatever, and 20% actual snowboarding. Sometimes no snowboarding. It sometimes devolves into just wrapping around on a snowmobile. But yeah, like last year, I got probably some of the deepest days that I've ever had. Um, we went out to backcountry cabin and stayed out there for 3 days, and it was already deep like when we headed out there. And then by the end of the trip, I think like 2 or 3 feet fell in that time that we were out there. And we got back to the parking lot, and all the cars were fully buried. Had to dig them out, and everybody else left. And then me and one other guy that we were with, um, went out and just rode the trails, and there was 2 to 3 feet on top of the trails. They hadn't been groomed, and just like face shots the whole way. And I'll definitely remember that for for a while. I haven't ever had that type of snow, really ever. It was deep.
Yeah. Wow, dude. Yeah, and you guys, I mean, if anyone's like unaware of like Central Oregon in general, I mean, just kind of limitless access. Super cool. Like just Oregon in general is just such a great state to get
Yeah,
out and ride. And I think, a lot of people, maybe overlook it a lot, but when you hit Bachelor on a good, POW day or even a spring day with like all the different parks that they have set up now with Woodward and everything like that. And then you can pop up to Hood and go experience Meadows or Timberline in the summer and stuff. It's kind of like a very very unique place, as I would say,
yeah.
getting to live in that spot.
There's a lot of opportunities to go snowboarding. Um,
Yeah.
and I did, I guess, want to bring up like, so, snowmobiling, splitboarding, um, have been something on my to-do list, recently. But even more recently, I've gotten into pow surfing, and that's pretty fun. It's like a lot of places around Bend are pretty flat and maybe not as interesting for snowboarding if you're trying to ride like super steep lines. It's pretty hard to get to like those places, but pow surfing, turns a flat kind of mellow slope into a totally different experience, and just makes uh, what would be kind of a lame day, like splitboarding, it's an epic day pow surfing.
Yeah. Yeah, that's something that I've, yet to do. I mean, but it looks just like so much fun, especially like you said in those flat spots, which, there's plenty of, and it's always good to have, options in
Yeah,
those times to, have the best time possible.
yeah, and there's
You know,
plenty of
I
small slopes around here that are easy to get to.
mhm.
um, and you can either sled out there and take sled laps or get some verts and hike up. um, and it's just way more accessible than trying to get out to the gnarliest lines that you can find out here.
Yeah. Yeah, because, going down gnarly lines just requires like, I mean, it's pretty intense, dude. Like all the gear that, you need to have out there in those
Yeah,
situations, and also, the training and stuff. And um that's something that I've, been interested in doing, but always want to like take the most precaution and like educate oneself about the backcountry before you go out there and make sure you're prepared, and always probably go with somebody who has you know a good amount of knowledge
yeah,
about the backcountry in that area, and that's always like the best advice. Like that's what people say all the time to me. So but I have a I've had a split board, but I basically have just only taken it up the mile at Palmer and stuff like that, and ridden down or in early mornings and stuff, and that's cool enough for me for now. But up here in Idaho, it's a little bit different. Like you kind of need that knowledge because you're going out pretty far to
yeah,
places if you want to go ride and stuff, and it's remote. So
definitely. I mean, even power surfing, you need to be, prepared, but the terrain you're riding and the areas that you can have fun power surfing in are typically a lot safer. And so, you should still be prepared, still have a beacon, shovel, probe,
mm,
but it's much more accessible than, trying to go ride a chute or something.
yeah, yeah. And as far as like we've kind of gone over like you've ridden Southern Oregon. You've ridden up in Portland. I'm assuming that you went and rid, outside of Seattle. What were some of the resort? Is there any resorts up there that you hit while working up there?
I actually didn't do much riding in Washington when I lived there.
Okay.
Um, but I've ridden Crystal and Baker, and I actually rode Baker on a spring day, and so I've never ridden Baker on a deep powder day. But I will say that um, the one thing I noticed at Baker was just all the natural and like hand built hits that are just all over the mountain. It's pretty fun, even on a spring day. Like you can uh, get some air. It's like a natural terrain park the whole way down. So that was definitely kind of different from some of the other places I've ridden.
Yeah. Yeah, and kind of feeding back into the backcountry, I've heard like, the work is worth the reward as far as like, not having anybody out there and like getting, untouched turns on like a sick day. Is it what everyone kind of makes it out to be? Is it's kind of just like an awesome experience when you're out there?
Yeah, I mean, even if you don't get it good, it's still fun just being out uh, by yourself in nature with your friends and getting good workout. But when you do get it good, it is really good, and those moments are maybe less than people would expect. I think people think of it and they see videos and see people. They see all of those like handpicked moments where people are just like ripping turns and getting getting it good, but that's like a small percentage of the time that it took to get there. So like I said, it's like 80% snowmobiling or touring, and then maybe 20% actually snowboarding, maybe even less.
Yeah.
So it takes a lot of work, a lot of planning. Um, you got to watch the weather. Like there's a lot that goes into it, but if you do time it right and you kind of figure everything out, then it's definitely worth it.
Yeah. Yeah, and that's something that like Pete reiterated when I talked to him, and he's always like, he's like a pretty strict regiment kind of guy as far
Yeah,
as like getting out there because it is serious, and but when you take it seriously, then it's just so rewarding to be there, and like, and you've helped out a lot, with him and stuff as far as like building features and volunteering your time for the Ollie contest. At Lifties, and
yeah,
um were you there building again this year because it just happened, I
yeah,
saw.
yeah. I was. It was a good time.
Yeah. Yeah. And what, you know was it just like the culture of snowboarding that got you into like getting into building jumps and stuff, or was it something like from child, like even before, like even when you're first starting out? Because I remember, dude, like at my property we had a pretty good slope, and when it would snow like it did back in the day in Cave Junction, like you could build some like fun stuff. Like I built like little pump tracks and jumps and stuff, and I took my crappy Walmart board out there, with like the plastic bindings and stuff, and just like had a grand old time.
Yeah.
And what was it for you? Like, because you're building like some kind of cheese wedge stuff now and getting out there, so it's pretty high level things.
I always enjoyed building jumps like bike jumps, like sketchy skate ramp uh, jumps, and then I think like when I got into high school and I was like trying to be more serious about snowboarding, like just looking at videos and how people were building jumps and making sure that like it's actually something that you can hit, because anybody can pile up a bunch of snow and try to make a jump, and yeah, it's not easy. Like I my dad had a backhoe, and I remember building like dirt bike jumps, and if you get the any of your angles or heights wrong on that, like things have to kind of line up for it to be safe to hit and actually work. And so I think I kind of like picked up a little bit from that. Um, Spencer and I remember built like a creek gap at his house that actually worked pretty well. And um, yeah, you just kind of like over time doing it over and over again, you kind of see what works and what doesn't. And yeah, I think it just takes some repetition, and you do have to think about it. It's not like something you just do willy nilly. You kind of have to like
Yeah.
plan it out and take the time to actually build something that's going to work.
Yeah. Yeah, I hear that, dude. And so, you're talking about building dirt jumps. Are you still are you still pretty into mountain biking, like downhill? We know Bachelor is a pretty sick spot, and do you get to get
Yeah,
out there much in the summer?
yeah. I hadn't really done any downhill mountain biking since like high school,
Yeah.
and I got into like we had our cross country mountain bike team at the high school, which was
Hmm.
kind of my introduction to mountain biking, and then did a little bit of downhill towards the end of that, and then pretty much only rode cross country since then. And then moving to Bend, Mount Bachelor's like right there, and so I ended up buying like a enduro bike, something that could handle Bachelor, and took full advantage of that and rode last 2 summers and kind of got a little bit better. I actually did a downhill race, first one since high school, and got fourth
Nice.
in the men's category, and that felt pretty good.
Where was that at?
At Bachelor,
Oh, cool. Heck
yeah,
yeah.
they have like a Friday series of races, and I kind of just figured I'd challenge myself and see where I stood. And I didn't enter. There was an elite category, and I looked at where I would have placed in that, and I would have been dead last. But got fourth in the men's open, and maybe I'll work on that this year.
Nice, dude.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's so cool. Like we all know like the season is long at Bachelor, and so I have they announced when closing day is yet?
I think it's usually sometime in May.
Yeah. So that's what's so cool is like, you have a pretty quick, transition into mountain biking. It's not too long before mountain biking season starts up there. And, you were talking about the high school team. Was Shane Styles on that team?
Yep.
Cool. Dude,
Yeah.
I have so many fond memories of hanging out. Anthony was a good friend of mine, like in middle school and stuff.
Yeah.
So I would always go out there, and I remember their like backyard, like almost like pump track, little mini mountain bike course out there was so cool.
Yeah. Shane Styles and Sean Gearhart still rip mountain bikes down in Ashland, and
Nice.
I see videos of them every once in a while, and yeah, they're still definitely getting after it.
Yeah, that's awesome, dude. Yeah, it's so cool to hear. It's always cool to see like everybody like, kind of from our time at Illinois Valley High School, like, my class, I mean, we had a lot of really cool people that did like have done like a lot of important things and stuff and been pretty successful from our class. And same with your class. Like I feel like those two classes were really like kind of awesome. Like I don't know if it's just me being nostalgic or something, and they're all like my good friends and stuff. And
Yeah.
it's kind of cool to see everybody like go through life, and you see, through social media and stuff, you see everybody like people are having kids now, and it's awesome. And to get to see you like be up in Bend and like kind of like your natural element because you're such a sick ripper and such an outdoorsy person, like that's the perfect spot. Like you got endless amounts of possibilities there, and you have enveloped yourself in like the local culture, which is super cool to see. And I feel
Yeah.
like I don't know, that's
I
just awesome.
like I enjoyed living in Portland, but I always felt like a small fish in a big pond.
Mm-hmm.
And I had plenty of friends there, but just didn't really feel like I was thriving. And moving to Bend, I felt like I just like inherently got a bunch of good friends around me, and like felt like I was welcomed with open arms, and that, um, yeah, I feel pretty at home here and happy to be here.
Yeah, dude. Yeah, it's awesome to see. And I feel like kind of the same way. I've made my way up to Coeur d'Alene here, and the community is so sick. And, they're very welcoming and everything. And, working up at Schweitzer and doing that has been a great thing, meeting friends and stuff. And it's part of, I don't know, if you're in this culture, if you're in the snowboarding culture, like, you can make friends like pretty quickly. Like, everyone is kind of looking out for each other just because of the full nature of the sport. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah,
Like we've always kind of been like shunned aside for the longest time. Like, you guys go over there on your side of the mountain, you go do that and stuff. And, not hating on all skiers, dude, but there's still resorts, dude, that don't allow us there. And, it's 2024, dude. Like, come on, let's go, dude. Like, we
yeah,
want to ride Alta too, but not really, F you. You know what I'm saying? Like, it is what it is. But that's cool because, growing up and stuff, like, I rode with, certain friends like Mike Heald and stuff, and kind of like just with something I did with my mom all the time. Um, and then I didn't even like really ever get to ride with like homies from IVHS. Had no idea that, you guys were up there too and stuff. And yeah, it's just so cool to see now. And then to get to ride with you, like later in life and like actually do what I really like to do, like film. And we got some good clips that day up at Timberline and stuff. That's just like,
yeah,
that just makes me so happy to see, dude.
yeah.
So, um, dude, let's get into a little bit of hot takes and some rapid fire questions. What do you think?
Okay.
All right, cool. So here's one specific to Bend. Who's your favorite kind of like pro rider in Bend right now?
That's a tough one.
Too many to choose.
I'm gonna go with Gabe Ferguson. He's just a chiller. He's got a good attitude. He's um, always a homie, and like,
And the Brown crew is sick.
yeah, yeah. Gabe's just a all around cool dude. Like, not the typical. He's not gonna cool guy you. He's down to hang with anybody, and um, he's just got good style.
Hell yeah, dude. Awesome. So if you had to pick three people, in your life, um, living or dead, to go on the sickest heli trip that you've ever been on, who would you pick?
Uh, Probably my dad. Um, Best friend Spencer Kendall, and maybe my other best friend Will Dennis.
Hell yeah, dude. Awesome. Um, what is the worst trend in snowboarding right now?
Um, just being too cool to talk to people, like
Word.
giving people the cold shoulder.
Word, dude. I like that answer. Yeah, that's I mean, that's just be cool, dude. Just like people are out there, man. Like they're trying. Like, and if you were just like if you don't like take the time to like kind of teach them the ways of just like mountain safety in general, and just kind of like, and also maybe teach them a little bit about what the culture is and stuff that we don't do in snowboarding and stuff like that, then that's what really counts. Is like, just hate to see all these people like have so much hate for each other when we're all just doing the same stupid thing,
Yeah.
sliding down a mountain on a piece of wood. So, but yeah, dude. Okay, so let's get into rapid fire. These are gonna be quick. So, you prefer goggles or glasses?
Depends.
All right.
It depends. Like, if you're hitting street features and whatnot, then definitely glasses. If it's
Okay.
if you need them, if it's blizzard out, then definitely goggles.
Okay. Pants or bibs?
Bibs, just because they're all around better. Like if it's
Okay.
dumping stuff, you
Universal.
want bibs.
Yep. Um, let's go with slush or pow.
Definitely POW, but slush is a close second.
Okay. All right, cool. And then if you had to pick, um, let's go with your favorite snowboarders of all time, male or female, top three. Who you going with?
Um, Mikey LeBlanc. Um, MFM.
Okay.
And then like I guess maybe more current. I'm gonna go with like Mia Brooks because she's ripping right
Oh,
now.
that's a good answer, bro. God, dude, those X Games runs were so steezy. They all could have won. It was just, oh, I was like, yes. And the fact that she's like listens to death metal and stuff, that's great. Love to hear that.
Yeah.
um, okay, so if you had to pick one place in Bend to grab your favorite meal, where would it be?
Ooh, food. Like there was one answer that was coming to mind when you said place in Bendigo. And I was gonna say Cascade West because
Okay.
that's a great place to grab a beer.
And you may run into your favorite pro snowboarder. You never know.
Yeah, it's a great place to go. They have roasted chicken there, but I wouldn't
Okay.
say that's my favorite meal. Um,
Best. Okay, so best place in general to
yeah,
go.
yeah.
Okay.
Um, I don't know. I honestly like making food at home,
I like it.
so my house for
Yep.
a delicious gourmet meal.
Yep. It's so
Yeah,
true, dude. I hear that too. Like we bought our my wife and I we bought our first house up here in Coeur d'Alene in October, and we're just like we'd rather just stay home and like grill or do something like that, or
I
when
will
it's
say
nice outside.
Bend has great food, so there's plenty of good places. But
Oh yeah.
also, since I'm house poor, I've got to make my own.
That's right. Gotta fancy up some dishes for
Yeah,
sure. Awesome, dude. Well, we've kind of talked about, where you came from, what's going on now as far as what you're doing. What's kind of next for you? What's going to be happening for you in the future? Are you kind of in Bend to stay for a while and just kind of still just going to be doing your thing there, or what's going down?
yeah. I can't go like super in depth, but I think that in the near future, I'm going to be like helping um, a college program that's getting developed for teaching kids how to build boards, and I think that's going to be a great thing. Like for me, building snowboards has never been a moneymaker, and when I first started, I kind of wanted to keep it like secret and like I mean, that seemed to be, it was really hard to find information on how to build boards, and it's become a little bit more um, open. There's more sites on the internet where you can look up that information. But um, yeah, I think it's good to like spread that information, teach people. Um, and I don't think there's really a problem with making sure people know how to make boards and inspiring like innovation and the next generation of people that are going to be building boards.
That's great.
Yeah,
Yeah, that's awesome to hear, dude. Doing your part to give back and get the keep the next generation of riders going. That's kind of what it's all about. So, I mean, that's awesome to hear, dude. Well, dude, I just want to say thanks so much for, joining the podcast. Really appreciate your time, and it was great to catch up and kind of even dive more into, you know, kind of how you got into snowboarding and everything and how we grew up. And
Yeah.
yeah, thanks so much, Ian. Really appreciate it, man.
Thank you. I'm stoked on the podcast. Glad that you're kind of finding your place in the scene, and yeah, I think what you're doing is pretty awesome.
Yeah, I really appreciate it. It's kind of my way of like trying to like spread more word and just keep everything going. So we want snowboarding to keep on riding. So
Yeah.
um yeah, dude. Well, thank you again. And with that, this has been another episode of Let's Talk Snowboarding. We're bringing you guys more episodes every other Friday. And check us out, dropping at 8 a.m. Pacific Standard Time every Friday. So with that, over and out. And thanks to Ian.
Thank you.